Hello, welcome to the third lecture on phonetics and phonology. This is Professor Shelwa. Now, last time we talked about complex. We talked about simple and simple vowels, whether they are short or long. Now, this time we're going to talk about complex vowels, not simple ones. We're going to identify a set of diphthongs and triphthongs in English and recognize the articulatory features of each, how we pronounce them. We'll get introduced to the principles of phonemic transcription, and we'll do some practice in phonemic transcription. Now, what are complex vowels? There are two types of complex vowels, diphthongs and triphthongs. D in classical Greek means two, and tri means three, and phthong is the word for sound. So two sounds, three sounds. They're not actually two phonemes or three phonemes, they're just two sounds. A diphthong consists of two sounds and a triphthong of three sounds, which count as one phoneme. We're going to see how, of course. Now, just as we had complex consonant phonemes known as affricates, do you remember? Affricates were gliding from the first position to the second position on the consonant chart. The first position, which was a stop or a plosive, and the second position was an affricative. And this is what we call a but they counted each j as one phoneme. In vowels, the same thing. On the grid, you will have three vowel positions, and in diphthongs, two vowel positions. Now, simple versus complex vowels. We'll see the difference in the pronunciation. In simple vowels, the vowel quality of the sound and the shape of the vocal cavity remain the same. So when I say E until it ends, even if it is long, the duration is long, it still remains the same. But in diphthongs, there is obviously a change. Now look at the first diphthong here. I. Have you noticed the change? The other one was E all the way, or all the way. But this one from A to E, I, and E, and I. Of course, I and I are diphthongs because each one has two sounds, and aya, like in higher, it has three sounds. The e, the the a, I'm sorry, it's aya, like player. A is the diphthong, and we add a schwa. And we'll see all that later. Complex vowel is represented by an arrow rather than a fixed point. A mark to mark the movement from one position to another. The complex consonants were represented by two symbols joined together in ch and j. But here we have an arrow, because the arrow on the grid shows me where the movement is. We have to point out now the movement is from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. I have very little control on the cursor, so forgive me. From here to here, and from here to here. So the cursor moves by itself. I don't know why. Anyway, it's hard to write with, Kamel. So in this case, we have to use an arrow to show that it is E moving towards it's E. All right. We're going to talk about this soon. Now, there are 8 diphthongs in English. اللي بيكونوا من 2 symbols، اللي بيكونوا من 2 positions. They are 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 اهم الاسهم اهم. The first one is the ear. ear معناها من هنا لهنا اهو، من عند الاي لعند ال اللي هي قريبه من الشوا. والتانيه ايه قريبة من الشوا. والتالتة أو من عند الأو وطالعة عند الشوا. وبعدين أي معناها إنها زي play والحاجات دي من عند الأ لغاية الإي. وبعدين عندنا الأوي من عند الأ هنا بتاعت هوس لغاية الإي. وبعدين عندنا أو من عند الشوا I'm sorry أو من عند الشوا لغاية الأو أو. So the shape of the vocal cavity changes. And then أو من عند الأ لغاية عند الأو. Now the first 3 are centering diphthongs. First 3 اللي هي أو. ليه؟ Because they end with a schwa in the center. The others are called closing diphthongs عشان بينزلوا من حتة مفتوحة لحتة مقفولة from open to close. زي ده هو وزي ده هو وزي هنا ده هو. يبقى عندنا 3 centering and 5 closing. Right. Now the last 5 are the closing. This is what we have just said. Now notice that the long open vowel uses the symbol D. شايفين السيمبل عاملة ازاي؟ uses the symbol اللي هي الايه بتاعت الرياضة دي. Whereas diphthongs use D بتاعت الكتابة دي. Be careful about these. في نفس الحكاية في الإي الشورت إي عبارة عن آي بس صغيرة، واللونج بتستعمل الآي العادية مع علامة الطول اللي هي الكولون. Now orthographically يعني في الكتابة centering diphthongs are mostly realized by a silent R at the end of a syllable, which turns into a schwa like pia. شوف بتتكتب بآ إنما الآ بتتنطق شوا. pia دي سيلا برضو نفس الحكاية. الآ is written as an R but it's pronounced as a schwa. Now saw S-O-R-E saw ما فيش شوا في الآخر إنما دي single vowel single syllable or it can be followed by an L. quail trail. All right. Ale. Right. Now centering diphthongs التلاتة دول إيا وتيا زي تيا اللي يعني دمعة وتاء بتتكتب برضو بنفس الطريقة زي هي فيا ديا ستيا clear. Practice them, please. Say after me here. All right, say stia. Say ear. Say beard. All right, say fierce. Say career. Right, then air. Tear, a verb which means to cut to pieces, and like bear, like air, like dared, like cared or care, like pair, and the or, more, mode, toward, poor, door. دي فيها R ودي فيها R برضو الاتنين ما تنطقوش. jewel, cruel, fuel كلها بتتكتب يو وشوا. All right, now we move on to the closing diphthongs. There are two types of closing diphthongs. Fronting A زي way, وفي I زي style, وفي oil زي oil. They are fronting لأنهم they end up in the front of the grid. They tray, may, paid, pain, face, وجي زي y, type, cycle, analyze, eyes, time, quite بتتكتب بطريقتين إنما هي بتتنطق نطق واحد. وبعدين عندنا coil وboy وtoy وfoil. Right. Now we move on to the backing ones which end with a back vowel. من الشوا لأو أو زي home زي tone. دي فيها مشكلة على فكرة بالنسبة لنا في النطق. زي bow زي go زي so زي no دي no دي بيتنطقوا بطريقة واحدة. note and wrote. أو زي house cow now how crowd sound out. All right, these are two syllables. And triphthongs. Triphthongs are produced by the 5 closing diphthongs plus a schwa. يعني ناخد ادي closing diphthong اهو بيجي من عند الأ لعند الإي. اي زي هاي نحركها مرة تانية ناحية الشوا يبقى اي زي هاي زي من عند الإي للشوا في شوا اوريدي ما نقدرش نحط لها شوا تاني. فإذا السنترينج diphthongs ما ينفعوش إنما اللي ينفعوا مين؟ الكلوسنج عشان تقدر تروح من الفاول ده على الشوا تاني. A triphthong is formed by adding a schwa to a closing diphthong. Centering diphthongs already end in a schwa, so we can't use them. All right, a triphthong is formed by adding a schwa to already as we have seen. Right, now there are 5 triphthongs in English. A, I, oi, أو أو. أي زي play زي lay زي pay زي may pay أو pray. على فكرة هي في R هنا ناقصة. pray هي معمول الترانسكريبشن بتاع pray. أي زي fire زي lie زي tired. وأوي زي رويا زي لويا زي موة سلوى وموة وبلوة كل دول أويا. وبعدين أوا زي باور وhour نفسها يعني ساعة، وcoward coward، وفلاور بتتكتب بطريقتين بس تتنطق نفس النطق flower. All right, so these are the triphthongs. Now we have covered all the vowels of English, and from now on we are going to be ready for transcription. Thank you. Now that we have finished all the phonemes of English, consonants and vowels, we are ready for transcription. We're going to learn how to transcribe English words, and we start with single syllable words. It's the easiest place to start. It's a good way to improve your pronunciation, and it's also needed for consulting the dictionary, because the dictionary tells you how a word is pronounced. So you have to know transcription in order to know what the dictionary says. Your exam will contain a lot of transcription, so you better master transcription and learn all your symbols, whether they are consonants or vowels. This activity requires a full command of the various symbols covered so far, consonants and vowels. Now, what is transcription? Transcription is the unique representation of speech sounds systematically and unequivocally. يعني إيه بقى الكلام ده؟ يعني representation يبقى واحد. ما فيش حاجة اسمها ده صح وده صح، لا هو واحد اللي صح. When you speak once in a certain way, and this is what is represented in your transcription. Of course the writing can be يعني ممكن أكتب TEAR ما بقاش عارفة دي تيا ولا تيا، إنما if I speak I will say either tear or tear. A flower مش عارفة إذا كانت وردة ولا إذا كان دقيق، إنما when I write it and speak it يبقى في الحالة دي بيبقى الاتنين واحد. فالحالتين موجودين في الترانسكريبشن. You use a set of symbols, each set representing one and only one phoneme, each symbol, consonants or vowels. Every consonant has one symbol, every vowel has one symbol. Now, phonemic transcription is the adjective derived from phoneme. Now, phonemes come from the consonant chart and the vowel grid, together forming syllables. So we form a syllable using one vowel and one or more consonants. One vowel and one or more consonants. We call this a syllable, مقطع. All right, syllables are used to form morphemes, as we saw at the very start of our lectures. In lecture 1, and phonemes are added together to form words. This means using the symbol from the chart and the grid to represent each morpheme or word in a simplified way. In other words, it's a very simple transcription. It just says what the phonemes of this word are. Not really how the word is pronounced, because how the word is pronounced is more complicated than that. We'll see that later. You will take phonological rules and it will tell you exactly. All right, now we go on to, so phonemic transcription uses the phoneme symbols from the consonant chart and the vowel grid. Transcription grows more detailed when we consider changes caused by applying the phonological rules, and this is going to come in lecture 5, inshallah. These changes occur when the various phonemes come in contact with each other, creating a new environment. أما نحط one phoneme مع another بيبقى في تغيير شوية في النطق. ودي بتتبع قاعدة معينة عشان to sound really English, you have to follow the phonological rules. Now, transcription after the application of the phonological rules is not phonemic anymore. It's called phonetic أو allophonic. الكلمتين دول معناهم واحد. We'll take that in another lecture. Now let's look at cats and dogs. Is represented, شوف بقى, cats and dogs. When you put them together, you don't say cats and dogs. No, you say cats and dogs. يا إما يا إما بس. وهنشوف إن دي بتبقى syllabic consonant في بعد كده. يبقى cats and dogs is represented as cats and dogs. شوف ال in writing بقت هنا voiceless وبقت هنا voiced. دي phonological rule. ليه؟ لأن التي هنا voiceless والج هنا voiced. It's followed by a voiceless sound, and here it's voiced followed by a voiced sound. Where the letter S is transcribed as voiceless in one case and voiced in another, due to what we call assimilation. Sight and sight are both, assimilation G is a phonological rule. Sight and sight are both transcribed as sight. الاثنين هم واحد بتكتب بالسي وواحد بتكتب بالاس والاثنين لهم معاني مختلفة. tough and stuff. شوف tough tough اللي في stuff بتكتب ازاي ومع ذلك الترانسكريبشن بيبقى واحد. tough ادي السيمبل بتاعت وstuff ادي السيمبل بتاعت two and two are homophones. homophones يعني ايه؟ يعني بيتنطقوا زي two بيتنطقوا زي بعض بس هما كلمتين مختلفتين. they sound the same. homo means the same and phone means sound, although they look quite different. الاثنين بيتكتبوا two. From now on, words in orthographic form are inserted in. هنعلمهم ازاي نعرف اذا كانت الكلمة اللي احنا بنتكلم عليها دي كلمة زي كده ولا transcription. نحط الكلمة في inverted commas, quotation marks, ونحط الترانسكريبشن في slashes. So we use pot, for example. ادي كلمة pot وادي pot transcribed. Okay, now some common transcription errors to avoid. Remember, from my experience with the students, I've noticed that, for example, ask and aunt عندهم زي ask and aunt, لكن دول two different dialects. احنا ما بناخدش ask و aunt, these are American. احنا بناخد ask و aunt اهم دول British. Bear is an animal, but beer is a drink. فلازم يبقى فيه الديفثونج المظبوط. Post vocalic IR, i.e. after R, is not pronounced and turns into a schwa as a vowel. Post vocalic اللي هي ال R اللي بتيجي after a vowel is not pronounced. Post vocalic يعني after. vocalic صفة من vowel. Post vocalic means after a vowel. So an R after a vowel is never pronounced. It turns into a schwa. Now, do not confuse je زي beige وزي pleasure. الاس هنا ج وهنا الج is السيمبل دي ج with ج اللي هي الافريكت اللي هي الكومبلكس consonant in huge and jump. على فكرة الج دي في العربي مفيش ج في العربي. beige pleasure إنما huge and jump. الجيم المعطشة في العربي is an affricate. بتقول جمل ما بتقولش جمل. بتقول جميل ما بتقولش جميل. Do not confuse truck بدا with track, for example. Do not confuse the central long vowel with the schwa. bird إنما not bird يعني ما هيش schwa. board and for are transcribed as board and for, not as board and for. There's no R. حتى في الامريكان ترانسكريبشن ما بنحطش الار، لها سيمبل تانية خالص. So be careful that board has no R and for has no R. Foot short vowel and food long vowel. يتكتبوا double O الاثنين، إنما واحدة long وواحدة short. So the short one is this and اللي هي الشورت O. The long one is this one. Okay. Fair and fire. طبعا fair is a diphthong إنما fire is a triphthong، ولذلك تلاقيها هنا triphthong اهي 3 symbols وfair 2 symbols. Right. Let's practice a little bit in transcription. air هتكتب، يعني أنا هحاول أعمل لكم الأولانية دي، أنا مش عارفة بقى هعرف أكتبها ولا لأ. That's air. خلاص ما ننساش الايه السلاشز. air. beard ب والاي القصيرة والشوى والد، ما ننساش السلاشز. boil. اشتغلوا معايا عشان تتمرن على الترانسكريبشن، نص الامتحان ترانسكريبشن، ما تنساش السلاشز. case. اعمل انت case. boat. boy. coast. cold. down. his ما تنساش انها كدي مش الاس. اوكي. and kiss هي دي بقى اللي ايه الاس عشان right عشان دي voiceless الك، وهنا ال H is voiceless برضه. Anyway, there are no rules that really. Okay, let's see what happens when we want to correct them. Right, here they are. Cold, dawn, down, and his and kiss. Right, اللي احنا عملناه الحمد لله طلعوا صح. Okay, now let's turn to another exercise that you're going to do along. Right, face, right face. And field. You can pause and do them, and later turn it on again and play them. And then you go to fog and go and thin, right, until you finish. Right? And then when you start again, you will have the answers. This is a good practice. Now you have more exercise to do, and I prefer you do them seriously and diligently in order to train. All right, here's another set which you should do on paper, and then look at the model answers later. And the last one, please pause here in order to be able to do them all, and then turn it on again in order to see the answers. Right, thank you.